do you think of the Elite V5? Yeah? Fan? Not a fan. He likes the Elite V5. New Balance sent us a pair of the SC Elite V5s, which on the day of recording this, actually came out to the public release today. So I've already put about 25 miles on these, as you can tell. I've been taking them around and beating them up. I've taken them on the road, I've taken them on the track, I've taken them on the treadmill, and now that I've put about 25 miles on them, these are my thoughts. But when you think of New Balance shoes, you don't think of the top of the line marathon racing shoes that a lot of times that thought goes to Asics or goes to Nike or goes to Puma, right? Those are the shoes that you think of being ungodly fast. Now the SC Elite 4 was a big hit amongst heavier runners, people who were not shooting for that like sub 3 hour marathon. So people who were up in that 3 hour plus, 3.5 hour plus, 4 hour plus. And it was just a very accommodating fit. It was extremely comfortable, but it was heavy and it wasn't extremely fast. So that fell into line and fell into popularity for people who were not looking to have this like absurdly fast, you know, marathon racing shoe. They were looking to have a comfortable fit that is faster than their trainer, but you can be in for 4 hours. My biggest interpretation, my biggest takeaway of the Elite V5 is that they made like a really good, almost classic feeling, old school marathon racing shoe. Like I said, I'm a bit on the heavier side of runners, and I have a very, very powerful stride. You know, my primary thing is mountain running. I'm putting a lot of force into the ground when I am running. I need something that is going to provide some element of comfort, especially if I'm going to be in it for a while. And though, you know, this isn't kind of the marshmallowy comfort of the SC Elite V4, I personally find this to be a really strong mix of comfort, speed, practicality, and looking nice. And now looking nice is like always last for me. I don't really care what a shoe looks like, but it definitely helps that it looks pretty cool. It's a pretty solid looking shoe. But for me, this is the right combination of being fast and being comfortable. I can run fast in this. The geometry in this versus the V4 on the carbon plate, I think you can almost see this line coming along here is a bit more aggressive. The V4 had a higher drop, so the stack technically is the same in the back, but there's like a couple more millimeters in the front. What that's doing for me is it's just giving me like a feel where I'm not really bottoming out onto the plate. And to me, that's really important. In my opinion, one of the worst things is just bottoming out into a carbon plate and just like beating into your feet and your joints. I hate that. And like I said, you know, for me, that's kind of a more common thing with the way I run. So I'm not bottoming out in this plate, which I appreciate a lot. The forefoot is still pretty accommodating. Up here, you still have a good amount of room, I will say. Now, I have really long, just narrow, super weird skinny feet. So I'm not the authority on this, but I will say, like in terms of measurement, this is not that much thinner than the V4 was. It's really this midfoot where it gets thin, and the heel where it's a bit small. Well, it's actually a lot smaller than the V4, but a bit smaller than, you know, your average marathon racing shoe. There's now like these multiple tiers of marathon racing shoes. I think Asics is the best example. The Sky and the Edge, which kind of fall into the same category. It's just one is built more for high cadence runners, which is the Edge. One is built more for high power runners, which is the Sky. And now they have the Ray, and that's the next level up of very expensive. It's very, very, very light. And I wonder when New Balance will fall into that trap as well. Obviously, you know, it's that whole death cult capitalism thing. And I do think that to an extent it's cool because it is accommodating a market, right? Like it is the creation of a higher tier of marathon racing shoe does allow for that middle tier, which is what I identify with more, to be a bit more tailored to those people, because now they don't have to try and pack all of those features into the high-end shoe. That shoe can be uncomfortable. It can be impractical. It can be stupid, because there are people that can actually benefit. I'm not a hardcore marathon racer, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But my review is me likey. I give this like a solid 8, I would say. You know, like I said, the upper's comfortable. It's got enough padding. It's light, but it's not too light. The tongue is light, but it's not too light. It's got enough padding. I don't have to do any sort of stupid funky lacing to get a good lockdown in this, which to me is awesome. The tread, it's got some little, you know, baby lugs here. I haven't had trouble with it gripping anything. I always say this, but I live in Southern California. It's not wet here. I don't know if it slips or not. We don't get rain, so hard to say on that. I will say it is more of a speedy cruiser than a ripping fast interval shoe, if that makes any sense, right? Like, I would prefer this to run a hard and fast, like 13-mile workout versus my workout right now, where it's like a bunch of 2Ks back to back and then 1Ks back to back and then like 5K PB. So like, I think for that short of an interval, it's kind of like you just get into the point where you're hitting the butter zone on this and you're striking just the way it likes you to strike, and you're getting into that fast cruising, and then like the interval's over. So this does have like a really nice cruiser feel, but that's why it feels like such a classic, solid marathon racing shoe. The foam, I don't know how durable it's going to be. There's a chunk that's already missing over here. I had like a thorn or something down here, and that's a little bit torn out. So I'm gonna have to see as time goes on. But again, marathon racing shoes aren't meant to be the most durable ever. In terms of a marathon racing shoe, it's my favorite that I've ever run in, but I haven't, you know, I'm not a aficionado on such things. So I think this shoe is priced out at like $225 or $250. Like I said, the public drop is literally today, the day of recording, so I'm not 100% sure. That puts it in a pretty competitive price point for marathon racing shoes. So let me know your thoughts on where this falls in the lineup, if you would wear this for your marathon, and if you've already gotten a pair, let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Thanks.